So, what is dominance theory? Dominance theory will tell you that you need to eat before your dog, you need to put your hand in its food bowl, you need to be able to take a bone off it at a moment's notice. It will tell you you need to leave the house first, that your dog shouldn't walk ahead of you. It will tell you that dogs need quite a harsh pack leader, alpha, in order to understand that they are listening to you. And for me, I think that really messes up your relationship with your dog. None of us have that kind of personality that wants to be that heavy-handed all the time. You have to be very consistent to be a dominance theory trainer. And you have to explain to the dog that under no circumstances are they able to express natural behaviour unless they ask first. The reason that dominance theory became so popular was because it was created by a gentleman who was living in Austria during the 1940s. What we tend to do as humans is we put our culture on our understanding of dogs. When dogs first started to be studied scientifically in the 1940s, the culture that was around that particular scientist, Konrad Lorenz, was a dictatorship. And so when he observed dogs, he saw a linear pack structure. You're either dominant or you're submissive. There's no grey area when it comes to training dogs. And so what they did was they took the science and they tried to prove this theory. And they proved it by getting loads of wolves. We know that dogs were wolves by that point. They got loads of wolves that were unrelated, put them in a cage, limited their resources, and weirdly enough, we got prison behaviour. So he proved his own rule using really bad science. And you can understand in a dictatorship that a grey area, a room to manoeuvre, a chance to break or change the rules is not going to be acceptable if you expect to be that dictator. That book that was written by the leader of the Prussian army, another Konrad Most, was translated into over 100 languages and spread all over the world and forms the basis of what we know today about dog training. It was accepted by most of the police dog trainers, and it forms the idea that we need to really be very harsh with dogs, very strict with them, and make sure they do exactly as they're told and correct them if they don't. In this generation, thank God, we've taken science and love and compassion and applied that to animal training so that we can motivate dogs to want to do the things that we need them to do in this society. In this day and age, we really look at dogs as an incredibly complex social species. But our culture now is one of negative reinforcement. The police are there to make sure you're a good girl or a good boy. And if you aren't a good girl or a good boy, you're going to be put in prison. So it's understandable that you, in your relationship with your dog and in your relationship with your children, the first thing you'll teach them is no, naughty, down, bad, off. I understand. I know why you're doing that. I'm just telling you, you don't need to. Isn't it stressful? Wouldn't you rather say, yes, that's amazing, that's really good behaviour? A day will come, I pray, when the police and the people who are in charge of controlling society are rewarding behaviour that we enjoy, because then it will happen a lot more often, rather than correcting behaviour we don't. So the key here is to forgive yourself if you have felt the need to be heavy-handed or to be aggressive with your dog, to make it do what you want it to do. It's the culture that we live in. And until that culture changes, I'm training owners to do something very unnatural to them. The next generation of dog trainers is going to be entirely positive. The next generation of dog trainers is going to see the value in reinforcing good behaviour and ignoring behaviour that we don't find appropriate. The best teachers in the world don't get angry, they get disappointed. And that's exactly what I want you to do with your dogs. Don't be angry, just be disappointed. The worst thing I will ever do, instead of saying no, I'll say, oh dear. And I'll disengage from the dog and I'll walk away. The next best step, if I really need to make it clear to the dog that their behaviour is inappropriate, is I'll walk out the room and I'll shut the door. But within about 10 seconds, I'll come back in and I'll give that dog another opportunity to see if they can get it right for me. And that's the key with dog training in this day and age. Be positive, be happy, be keen to give the dog repeated opportunities to get it right, and you will form the most amazing bond with your dog that is untouchable.